I would like to welcome Zainab Vaid today. Zainab is a civil engineer degree apprentice at London South Bank University. I would like to start by saying good morning, Zainab, and congratulations on winning the Degree Apprentice Award at the British Education Awards 2024. So, how does it feel to be an award winner?
Yeah, it's honestly, I was quite overwhelmed by it. Quite happy that I got recognised for an award at this level. I definitely did not think that when I started my apprenticeship that I'd ever achieve something like this.
Well done. And I think it's a testament to your hard work. So, can you please tell us a little bit more about the apprenticeship that you're doing
Yeah.
and the work that you do on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. So I was doing a civil engineering degree apprenticeship. I started in September 2018 and it was a 5-year course. So I finished and graduated last year in 2023. I have worked with, I was an apprentice for Costain, which is a tier one construction contractor. And whilst I was an apprentice, I worked as a site engineer on the Thames Tideway Tunnel project. And now recently, I am now a design engineer working on the HS2 SES project.
Excellent. Really high-profile projects and big infrastructure projects. So, that prompts me to ask a question, which is around what attracted you to a career in construction and engineering. So, obviously, it's not very often we come across really successful young ladies in the industry. So, what prompted you at the age of, when did you start your apprenticeship? What age were you, and when did you think that this is what I would like to do and why?
So I started the apprenticeship when I was 18. I did my A levels at college. I think what prompted me initially into the industry in engineering and construction was that I preferred like art subjects and subjects where I can be creative. I took art A level at college as well. But I think what prompted me to come into or to choose a career in construction and engineering was that I had a passion for designing. And I think from traveling and getting to see countries like in the Middle East, such as Qatar, and in the UAE, seeing Dubai and seeing how in 50 years they've turned a desert into a city. I think that's what uh, maybe stirred my passion a little bit. And I thought I'd really like to get involved in perhaps a construction project like that in the future. And yeah, that's pretty much how it started. And then I decided to go to a college that was called London Design and Engineering. And that's where I learned about Costain and the apprenticeship opportunities within civil engineering.
Excellent, really good, insight. And what was the reaction from your parents, for example, or your family when you said, "I would like to do an apprenticeship in construction and the built environment engineering"?
I'm trying to remember what their reaction was. I mean, I think they knew that I wanted to go into design and engineering quite early on, and they were really happy for me. And when they found out that I got the apprenticeship, they were over the moon because it was a degree apprenticeship. And at the time, then it's quite hard to get into a degree apprenticeship. And at the time, whilst I was doing mine, whilst I was applying, degree apprenticeships were very rare, especially the civil engineering one. I think it was only in its second or third year of running. So it was fairly new at the time.
Excellent. So you are one of the trailblazers for this, and obviously a leading example. And so when we look at your actual apprenticeship, the 5 years you spent at LSBU, how was your experience being an apprentice at London South Bank University, and what worked really well for you and all of that?
So whilst I was an apprentice at London South Bank University, I was there on a day release. Sorry. So I was 1 day a week going to university, and the other 4 days I was working on the project. And I think that balance worked really well because I was able to like link my work sometimes to what I was learning at uni and vice versa. So it was nice to have the learning aspect and the working aspect happen at the same time.
Excellent. And how did you manage to manage your time during that? I speak to a lot of apprentices and they say it's really difficult. Sometimes it could be a challenge, etc.
It is. I think that's one of the biggest challenges with degree apprenticeships and apprenticeships in general, is managing your workload with your studies and your workload through university. And essentially, we're basically degree apprenticeships. We're juggling a degree at the same time as working. And during the years, as you develop at work, you take on more responsibilities. And on top of that, your studies is also getting more difficult as the levels increase. But I think the main way to juggle that balance is just have communication with your line manager and just let them know what assignments you have and what exams you have in place. Costain had a study assistance scheme, so they gave, I think, a couple days per exam for study leave, which was really helpful, because then you don't have to take annual leave to study, which would have been horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just having communication with your line manager and just letting them know, look, I've got this assignment coming up. Can I maybe spend a few hours at work during your work hours to complete that? Because there's only so much you can fit into a weekend, and after in the evenings you get tired from work sometimes. So
Yeah,
it's good to have that communication with your manager.
good, and good to have a good employer supporting you. And so one of my questions, which I think will be really helpful for others, is would you recommend an apprenticeship and a degree apprenticeship to other people?
Always, I would always recommend an apprenticeship, a degree apprenticeship, even better, to everyone I come across. If
And
I always
why
say
would
this,
why?
it's something that fast tracks your career. If you know the industry you want to go into, or the field that you would like to work in, go on apprenticeships.gov, go on findmyapprenticeship.com and look at what opportunities there are. And I think at my time, whilst I was in secondary school, apprenticeships were looked down upon. It was seen as and maybe still now, I'm not sure, but it was seen as the second option to uni. So if you're not going to uni, you're doing an apprenticeship because maybe you got bad grades or something like that. But that is just not the case. With degree apprenticeships, you are going to uni and you're still getting a degree out of it. The only difference is you are spending maybe an extra year or an extra 2 years to complete the course. But at the end of those years, you are far more experienced. You've gained, let's say, 4 or 5 years experience working in that field, and you're pretty much guaranteed a job after your degree apprenticeship or apprenticeship. So yeah, everyone I come across, I always say, look at the apprenticeship opportunities in that scheme, in that field of study that you want to work in. Look at the companies and the training providers, and just email them and ask them if they've got any opportunities.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, the fees are paid for, and you get paid a salary as an apprentice as well, which is obviously great benefits compared to take an alternative route. The other question I have is, would you recommend London South Bank University for apprentices and employees?
I would, yeah. My journey was actually quite interesting. So I started at University of East London I was only there for 1 day though.
Okay.
And the reason why I moved was because I looked at the course and I realized that it wasn't aligned with what I wanted to do, because I wanted to take my career into design, and the university was more site-based kind of modules. So I researched what training providers in London had that course, and I just spoke to the learning and development team at Costain, and I said it was probably better suited if I moved to London South Bank University. Yeah, they moved me, and within a month I was enrolled at LSBU. And I think now after that, they give the apprentices that follow me that have followed on after me, they've given them the option, either you go to UEL or London South Bank, and most of them have chosen London South Bank.
That's great to hear.
But yeah, the modules that were at London South Bank was a lot more design related, which is what I was looking. And yeah, I think it was a good amount of a good like there were varied modules that were quite interesting. It wasn't all just site based. It was there was structural design modules, geotechnical modules, fluid mechanics. So it was quite a broad spectrum.
And I know that the course leader, Simon Long, attended the awards with you. How do you feel that having a course leader such as Simon contributed to your success and development throughout the years?
Well, Simon's been a great course leader, I'll be honest. He like every time we had a question, he was always there to, like, if you email him, he will definitely respond back to you and explain things and make it a bit more simpler. And yeah, it was great that he was at the event as well and it was really supportive.
Excellent. I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're very busy and at work, but I'm really interested in staying in touch, hearing your progress, and obviously, hopefully very soon you'll become chartered engineer and you can progress through the ladder, and perhaps one day we'll see you in the news as CEO of an engineering firm. I think is that the kind of trajectory for your career? What if I ask you where you would want to see yourself in 5 or 10 years from now? What's your ambition?
Definitely I need this year get my incorporated engineering status with the Institute of Civil Engineers, and then progress onto the chartership as well. So far, I definitely want to stay in design. I've quite enjoyed it, especially temporary works design on the HS2 project. I've really enjoyed so far. So I want to continue with that. And perhaps maybe in the future work on international projects, because that's what initially sparked my interest into the industry. So it would be nice to work maybe somewhere on an international project.
Excellent. I'm sure you will do really well, and I'm sure you probably find yourself building big infrastructure projects in Dubai, as you mentioned earlier. So. But it's really good to speak to you, Zainab, and we are all really happy with and pleased and proud of your achievement. Winning such a national award is obviously something big, and we want to celebrate that, and I personally wish you all the best in your career. And thank you very much for your time, and I will stop recording.
Perfect.